Live. Hey, everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are Rising podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin. I am joined by my co host, Jay Krish from Focus Fights, Grandpa Krish, Grandpa Focus Fights.
Shut up, Andrew, about that. I just turned 31 over the weekend. You're already starting to make me feel old. But
Yes, yes.
but yeah, how's everybody doing? And by the way, all the way from Poland, who spent his weekend in Azerbaijan, we got Daniel Dziubicki with us. How are you, sir?
Hello, guys. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you very much. I've been even more than a weekend because I went to the Azerbaijan uh, on Wednesday. Then we had to sit about 10 hours at the airport, and then we came to our hotel. So it was a Thursday, and on Thursday there were weigh-ins in some fancy mall. Actually, all the city center was really fancy. Everything was big, and everything was really impressive.
Okay,
About
that's cool.
okay.
Did you see anything outside Baku? Did you do any like sightseeing or tourism or anything like that?
Mm, uh, I've uh, we focused because I were there with my fiance, but we have focused on only on the capital city. But even making a trip outside the city center is really a different experience. So I would even recommend to go outside the city center, which is very impressive. But if you will go um, uh, further from the city center, it's totally different vibe. For example, the labor, uh, I would say, neighborhood next to the oil fields, and it's typical, I would say, post USSR block of flats, and they aren't fancy, definitely aren't fancy, but uh, we haven't feel that everyone are looking at us. Maybe probably also that there are a lot of Russian tourists there during the year, and we are looking like Russian tourists. So like Russians, as a Polish people, as a Slavic people. We are not black haired, and we are totally white. So there it was like usually the people, for example, in shops, stores and stuff like that, started to talk to us in that are in their 30s or 20s, definitely not.
Gotcha. So, okay. So, is that a thumbs up? Should we all
Hmm.
go to? We should get a because I know Americans have to get a visa to Azerbaijan, which I guess is pretty easy. So,
Yes. As I said in a preview, you can't have the stamp in your passport from that the republic that it's
I
a
see,
mother of
Andrew, and
conflict
we. Oh,
between the Azerbaijan and Armenia. But
okay.
this is the only issue of getting a visa. Otherwise, you have to pay $25 and you are in.
mm. So how much did it cost overall? If you don't mind me asking, I'm curious to know.
Uh, you mean the cost of what?
Like, what was the entire trip? Like hotels, um,
It,
airfare.
it
You
was.
can say in euros. You can say in euros or whatever you pay. Polish
Uh,
thing.
I would say it was really cheap. It was like I can't even tell you, several hundred of euros maximum, because moreover I was prepared that I will I will spend a shitload of money in the arena because of the merchandising. It turned out that there's totally no merchandising at the arena, and I've changed too much money, manats, and I, I've got back to the Poland with still lots of Azeri money in my wallet.
So it is funny that yeah, no merchandise. So you kind of indirectly save money, which is kind of I guess that's kind of good. It's not, you save some money. Yeah, I guess that's good. But after you enjoyed Azerbaijan, maybe maybe they'll come back for Rise and Landmark, whatever it is.
If they will be back next year, I will definitely consider it because it has lots of nice places. It's not an expensive place. The people were nice, really nice. It's not like southern people that they are very, I would say, uh, mm, hot tempted. Their mentality is like more like uh, Eastern and middle of Europe, like a Polish people, Czech people, Russian people, Ukrainian people, stuff like this. Not like Turkish people. And I liked the whole experience of that country a lot. I would say.
Well, most importantly, Daniel, though, did you enjoy the overall experience of Rise and Landmark 7?
I would say so. In general, the fights were good. It was a
Mm.
really solid show, exciting show. I would say that it was well organized, but there was some minuses, some bad side of this show. First and foremost,
Before you go into that, I just want to know what was the atmosphere like. I know there was a lot of people when the show first began, and then when
mhm,
the show after the intermission, after gymnastics and Lloyd Banks, which you can go on and all about, it became more crowded, more and I guess
mhm.
more people overall. So what was the atmosphere overall?
I would say the people uh, were gathering through the during the first part and the intermission. That was over 1 hour long. It was one of the minuses, but it wasn't that all the people at the beginning from the beginning of the show. It's on or probably only in Japan or in a few countries, but not more. It was more like in the Western Europe or the US. It was like a um, totally prelim side, prelims part that
Mm.
fights at the beginning took place with almost an empty arena, and then the people were gathering, and the main attraction was the second part, the main part with five local fighters, five fighters from Azerbaijan that took all the attention because they were the main attraction basically. But I have to tell you that the people that were in the arena that day were very well educated in terms of MMA because I felt a bit like in Japan because the crowd during the fight was silent. You could hear the corners of both from the both sides, and the people were reacting during the first part in the moments like scrambles, uh, submission defenses. it's not a typical thing in the Western world. As in the US, there was no booing during the no action moments. Um, but I have to tell it frankly that there was not many moments that it was nothing during the fights. Mm, and during the second part, where the local heroes stepped into the cage, there was some chanting of the names of their fighters, and the only one moment that the people was unfriendly. It was the moment of presentation of Chihiro Suzuki by the announcer. It was in the cage, and the people started to make a bow a bit, but it was not like it was not like totally unfriendly. They were not seen him as I mean Chihiro Suzuki as total enemy. When Chihiro won his fight, the people were silent, but it was not like near the riots. The people, of course, weren't happy, but they weren't angry or something like this.
Well, here's the thing, Daniel, and I'm gonna go ahead and do what I'm basically told not to do, and that's interrupt. But first of all, a couple of questions. When it comes down to the fight card lasted in total, as far as in cage action, an hour and 20 minutes. Did you feel like the event lasted that quickly, or did the whole thing get spaced out by everything else? And as I'm looking at the comments on this video right now, Cold Mayday is asking, is it true that the VTR videos that were produced by Daisuke Sato muted inside the arena?
Yes, it was true. During the VTRs, there were some random music from something like from some movies. I would think I've recognized some music from Gladiators or Pirates or Caribbean Pirates or something like this. But yeah, the original sound from VTRs was muted. This is a true statement. Mm, I would say what I would say. Also, I have to say that I've received this at the entrance. There were some volunteers with a timetable. It's very good looking, and from the other side, it was fight card with UFC style fight card graphic with pictures of fighters. No programs. It was like a program. It was free, of course. As I said before, no merchandising. I was totally disappointed about this. But from the other hand, I've received from Shingo Kashiwagi the official poster from this event, and I'm really thankful. I appreciate so much because I was thinking that I won't take the poster. I have to say that I have every poster from the Rizin show that I have attended. So I would say it will take to my wall into the honorable place, and I'm really happy about the thing that Shingo did it. We had I would say a small talk during after the weigh-ins 2 days before. One more thing: the weigh-ins took place 2 days before the event, not a one day
Wait a minute.
before.
You say, I mean, because I seen the videos that they were talking. Well, actually, I seen the videos of the weigh-ins. I felt more like it was a face-off session, but I didn't know those were the actual
Weigh-ins.
weigh.
Yeah, it was the actual weigh-ins.
I mean, that's kind of weird to me, especially considering that, like you said, the weigh-ins were 2 days out from the fight. I mean, they probably must have gotten an extra time to bulk up and, improve on that weight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was some kind of advantage from the from the fighter's point of view. It was a bit better because they had more time to regain weight, to recharge the batteries after the weight cut. But it's a bit more advantage for the fighters that they're cut more weight than the smaller amount of weight.
I
Something
might have
like
a theory behind that. I think they may have done that particularly for the Japanese because they had the Japanese fighters who probably never traveled. I don't think Suzuki or Takeda have ever fought outside in Japan, so I'm gonna guess that probably they did that.
I
Come to
think
think of
I
it,
think
Andrew.
I think Takeda fought outside the Japan as a wrestler.
I mean,
Oh, okay,
come to
okay,
think
then,
of it, they never fought outside of Asia, is what you mean. Even though
no,
really Azerbaijan is considered a part of Asia, or is it a part of Europe?
I believe that Takeda had some photo with Rinya Nakamura, from what I remember, from some wrestling competition from Europe, but I don't remember.
I gotcha.
Hmm.
So, but Daniel, obviously, let's get into the meat of it. Tell us how Lloyd Banks was. How was the Lloyd Banks concert?
Oh my god! I mean,
uh,
we could talk about that all day, but hopefully we can talk about the results after we talk about the former G Unit member.
at the beginning, I have to say that in the past I was some kind of G-Unit fan, and I still have a sweatshirt of G-Unit in my parents' house. But I don't have right now any evidence, any photos of it. But I can find it later, but not right now. About the Lloyd Banks, we can't. Forgot about the Pastor. Pastor is a local hip hop star, and during the middle of the intermission, there was some kind of DJ showcase, and then we had the Pastor's performance. Pastor played his show about 15 minutes, and then Lloyd Banks appeared, and he played only 2 songs.
Yeah,
Okay.
that probably must have been a big disappointment, especially if that would have happened here in the United States. People would have already been asking for refunds.
Yeah, I think so. And more, it's the other thing. What I would say about these performances, it was not like concerts because they were just making a playback performances, so only lip sync.
Oh my god, that's such
Damn.
a that's a bitch move. That's a bitch move.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That
So
that's
I'm not a fan of this kind of solutions and
yeah, they
performance.
definitely would have called for a fucking refund after that shit.
The other thing I want to ask Daniel. So, I mean, overall, I mean, while it sounds like you did enjoy the show, while I was getting big like ACB, ACA, Octagon vibes from this show. If you had, and they didn't put Rizin on the banner, you could have told me that this was like Octagon, whatever, or ACA something. I would have believed you.
Uh, this is the thing that I wanted to say about. This is from the statistic point of view. This is the third shape of rising cage in their history, because you can remember that first rest in peace Trigger show took place in a deep cage with rising branding, which was the octagon, and then we Rising finally constructed their own cage, which is hexagon, and this time they have borrowed the cage, which was a circle. And yes, this is a good point that it could be uh, borrowed from the some kind of I don't know how to say, the local partners of ACA shows, and it was maybe basically a ACA cage, but I'm not sure about it. But I haven't been live at the ACA ACB show, so I can't tell you. But maybe, yeah, maybe this is a good point, because even the announcer was something like ACA ACB vibe.
Not really. The guy who does ACA or ACB, Alexander Yagorsky, aka Ruski Buffer, he's a lot different than the guy who was out there for
Okay,
Rizin on Saturday.
but okay, but a couple of words about the announcer. He was good. He was really good,
Yeah.
and I had a feeling of something big. And it's not an easy thing to make a work of Lenny Hart, of a bunch of the rising Japanese announcers,
Hmm.
and he made his task in a very good way. I've enjoyed the announcer.
I
But
He
mean,
was
I
bidding.
my
enjoyed.
problem.
Hmm?
Oh, sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
I mean, I enjoyed the announcer too, even though him obviously speaking English, he had some really big heels to fill, considering that Lenny Hart had already done an event in South Korea days earlier, so she was no condition to fly out to Azerbaijan.
But also, here's the other issue that, and this is before we get into the fights. Overall, if you're going to do, I feel if you're going to do a Ryzen international show, you kind of have to bring the Ryzen aesthetic. You do need to bring Lenny Hart. You kind of need to bring, you can't just borrow the local Baku MMA cage and slap Ryzen and say, hey, this is a Ryzen show. You kind of have to bring the good and the bad. They didn't. The cameramen were not even a Bima cameraman. They filmed this entirely. So Daniel, I gotta send you the footage. I don't know how I'll do it, but during many of the fights, they were doing the Dutch tilt. You know the Dutch tilt
Uh,
angle.
Yeah, I know, yes, but
Dude, you
So,
probably know the Dutch tilt angle more than anything.
I can
so
tell you at
they
all.
were filming many of the fights like this. Was not the Ibima cameraman at all. I don't know
No,
who the
no, no,
cameramen
no.
were. So it's you know, and also no merchandise, whatever. If you're gonna, you have to bring the whole package. That's my belief. This is the reason why New Japan was never successful in the United States, because they would always say, "Oh, this is New Japan," and they would have like only American stars, American wrestlers on the thing. Like they wouldn't put like any of the big. They would rarely bring the big guys over, or they would just be in tag matches. So it's kind of defeats the purpose if you're saying, "Hey, this is us. We're bringing." I mean, there was only two Japanese fighters. If you want to be even go that far,
Yeah, I
it was.
wouldn't basically. Andrew, I wouldn't basically say it's even that. I just think that when it comes down to it, they did well for a first time. It's just the fact that if they want to continue to do something like that, they would need to, do more than just bring two fighters and half your product over there.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm,
don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Daniel.
I had a couple words about the production at the arena, and it looked good. I really liked the LED panels in the background of the cage.
Yeah.
That ramp,
Hmm.
which was quite a long thing. I've enjoyed it too. I have to say that the production of the show was very good. Lots of smoke, lots of fireworks, and you could see that it's definitely better produced than a typical caged rising show in Japan.
Hmm.
Uh, and one thing about the timetable, because as we could say, the intermission was over 1 hour long. But
Yes,
it,
exactly. That's what I mean. The fight time lasted less than the actual card itself for
it
once.
it sucked so hard from the other hand, as I said before, the undercard fights weren't any attraction for a local people. There was no Azeri fighter in the first part, and the main goal the main goal of the producers and promoters were to just start the main part at some certain time. In this case, it was the 8 p.m. local time, and this was the main task, just to gather people for that hour, for the 8 p.m. Local time. As I said before, everything that took place before this wasn't that important, especially that lots of fights ended by a finish.
Right, of course.
Before we get into the fights, though, we do have a question. We can quickly answer it each. It's from our one of my favorite guys or gals who's always commenting, Falling Star. And they want to know, who do you feel of the Japanese kickboxing fighters right now has the biggest promise for a future rising MMA fighter? Daniel?
Not an easy question, but maybe Philip Minoru Kimura.
Interesting answer. How about you, Jay Chris?
I wouldn't say Philip Manoa Kimura because let's face it, people only remember him for him getting knocked the fuck out by a now well below 500 felony Charles Bennett. I don't think that he would want to slide back into MMA so soon, especially considering that he's currently on suspension. So I would basically say that the two fighters, yes, I said two fighters who would basically make for damn good kickboxing to MMA crossovers are the two guys that are going to be rumored to be fighting on New Year's Eve, either against themselves or against other fighters. And that would be Ryusei Ashizawa, aka Catfish, and Koji the Emperor Tanaka.
And
What about you, Andrew?
I would say from my point, we shouldn't forget about Yaman.
That'll be my answer.
Yeah, you have Ren Sugiyama, aka Yaman, especially.
Yeah, Chris, nobody calls him Ren Sugiyama. Come on.
Well,
nobody,
I do, damn it.
Nobody, not on my show, you're not. You're going to call him Yaman, you're going to like it. Yeah, Yaman. Or Ren Sugiyama, if you want to call it that.
Of course.
But yeah, he's the only one who has any MMA experience, and he's the only one that's looked good in it. But yes, let's finally get onto the show. Daniel, you got to see history in the making, sir. You got to see a new champion. Tell us your thoughts.
Wow, it was something really impressive. The first and foremost, it was I was wondering, what if some local favorite will got KO'd, and it was a very good example how the people from Azerbaijan are not very violent. Because I'm feeling that in some countries from the region, it could have a potential to end up by riots or something like this. Here, as I wrote on Twitter, of course, Chihiro silenced the whole arena, and all the things that people did in this case were just going out from the stands, out from the arena, and that's all. Of course, people were disappointed, but definitely not totally angry or something like this. About the Suzuki's performance, I was impressed because he just before he got taken down, he lost the punch exchanges with Karamov. Karamov landed left right 1-2 combination, on his head, and then he took him down right after this, and then he went up a bit and he received that up kick, and the rest is history.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Just I also wanted to quickly just say, you know what this reminded me of? So when you said the audience went quiet, remember when Anthony Johnson knocked out Gus in Switzerland? I'm sorry, Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
It was you kind of the same thing. The audience just went quiet, and that's it. Sounds exactly how it went. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, but still, though, that type of finish has really only happened about a couple of times in combat sports history, if you truly remember. It happened in Poland a few months ago with former World Cruiserweight Boxing Champion Krzysztof Gorlacki, and it happened back in Dream all the way back in like 2009 when Jacare Souza faced off against Gegard Mousasi, if you remember that.
But that finish from KSW, it was in a different fashion because because Głowacki got full mounted,
Mm-hmm.
and he shot he make a shot by his hand, and he knocked out being full mounted, and he hit the jaw of his opponent. Here we had a KO by a up kick, and it was the same like Gegard Mousasi against Jacare for their first scrap. It was their first meeting. It was in Dream. It was the final of middleweight Grand Prix in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, this is the closest example to what happened in Azerbaijan last Saturday.
Right. But still, though, when it comes down to that particular finish, don't you think that it's kind of rare to see something like that not happen often in the sport?
Of course, definitely. I would say that we could see in the past some near finishes, like someone hit his up kick, hit the opponent by his up kick, and the opponent got wobbled, but he couldn't finish the fight. Yes, it was
I apologize for interrupting. Who was the was it Falco Neto took on what's his name, the brother of Christian Edwards? Was it Christian Edwards?
Marco, oh well, yeah, I think it was Christian Edwards. I thought you were talking about the Marcos Yoshio de Souza.
No. In Bellator, it happened in Bellator. But here's the interesting the way it happened. So yeah, I think that Vugar was clearly he was wobbly, but he fell down. He wasn't knocked out though. I don't believe. I don't know, Daniel. Maybe you can tell us better if he was. But I think what knocked him out was all those punches that Suzuki was doing from the bottom. That to me was what was the what delivered the KO. Not so much that up kick, axe kick, whatever you want to talk about. That was what he kind of just like, because if you also remember, there was the fight with Yusuke Yachi and Diego Nunes, and I believe Nunes may have knocked out Yachi momentarily with the up kick, but he didn't know it, and so he kind of just fell down on Nunes. But Nunes didn't realize that if I keep punching him, maybe like he just like continued fighting. He just saw like, oh, he just fell on me, so I have to like get out of this position, whatever.
My opinion about this whole finishing action is that up kick of course massively shook the head of Karamov, but if he wouldn't receive the punches, that later punches, I don't think he would be finished. In other words, the up kick wasn't a finishing technique, at least the straight finishing technique, like in Mousasi against Jacare.
Also, not to mention as well, we all kind of predicted that if it goes to the ground, that's going to be Suzuki's. That'll be his death. if he goes to the ground. Turns out that going to the ground was the best thing. That was literally the best. It was the best course of action, honestly. And I definitely think a knockout of the year. I think that Chihiro Suzuki should get like at least like top 3 fighters of the year. If we would all be realistic, but that obviously won't happen.
Of course, it won't happen because they care more about the names here than they do overseas.
Yeah, and just sucks that he won't get the recognition that he should. Yeah, it was just so damn impressive. And, not to mention his whole life story. Now he's finally a rising champion, especially after losing his first chance. So,
Um,
not just losing his first chance, but bouncing back and beating one of the best fighters in the world.
his output as a fighter is something else. It's Donald Cerrone level almost.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's not like Donald Cerrone where he has a Hall of Fame career but doesn't win a title.
Yeah. Well, he got the title. He got the title. He did break it. Apparently, he did break his hand or his thumb. That's what he said in a post-fight interview. So I don't think he'll be available for New Year's. But whoever, regardless of next fight, Daniel, it's got to be Kanehara. Would you agree?
I would agree because Sakakibara said after last Kanehara's fight, he is next in line, but he is next to in line to the title fight. So of course it would be Kanehara against Suzuki. But as you said before, it won't happen probably on New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm. For Chris, I want to ask.
Come to think of it.
Yeah.
Even though it would be understandable for a fight between Suzuki and Kanehara, sort of like that age versus youth battle, especially considering that the last time that Kanehara had a championship in any level was back in 2009 when he was with Sengoku and beat Minoru Kimura. Beat Norifumi Kid Yamamoto on New Year's Eve in 2009. But still, though, I also wouldn't be surprised if we see a rematch between Vugar and Chihiro.
We may see the rematch in the future, but maybe in the middle of next year, something like this. I don't know. I couldn't see anything about the next year's schedule, but I believe that someone wrote that Rizin can make their first show in the February.
That's what Vugar said. Vugar said, "See you again in February." So,
if not February, then most definitely before April.
I would say he should face the winner between Saito and Kleber. That's because you already have the story there with Kleber, with him and Saito. The very close non-top fight they had, and then the Kleber fight, which. Listen, I think that's a very interesting fight as well. Not that.
Do you think it would be enough to main event that show though?
If they do it in like Nagoya, maybe you could definitely do that as a Nagoya main event, or Hamamatsu or Shizuoka, that area. It could be co-main. That could be a co-main event match as well. I think it's a pretty high level match. I also want to mention as well. This is the first time that Karamov was ever finished his entire career. So. Suzuki has that to his belt. We have a question from Falling Star. What rank Suzuki would you personally put? Where would you put Suzuki in your top 15 pound for pound fighters right now? Daniel, where would you put him?
To be honest, I'm not into the whole MMA ranking thing because usually the most fighters that are ranked in the whole rankings are the UFC fighters. Occasionally there are some Bellator guys, and I'm usually avoiding the whole ranking things about the MMA. Maybe the only exception is women atomweight, which is kind of interesting because it's not like a one organization thing. So I don't want to answer this question, but I think that this year I would place Chihiro very very high.
Okay, Chris, quickly, where would you put Suzuki on your top pound for pound 15 fighters as of now, if you would,
Oh,
if you do?
well, to be honest, he would be in the top 10 and not 10, so to speak.
Okay, I would say top five. I would say honestly top five. He's champion. He's defeated. He's on an undefeated streak, kind of, and he defeated a high level fighter. That's my opinion. Kobe Day says that good stuff so far, guys, but former Rizin fighter Kanaka Murata has been released from UFC. So maybe we'll see.
We're definitely going to have to talk about that when we get to the Anastasia Spetskivska fight.
No. She's flyweight, isn't she? I believe she's flyweight.
I mean, yeah, she is flyweight. But still, though, what's 10 pounds going to make any type of difference?
It's two different weight class questions.
You mean Kanako is a flyweight?
I thought she was a flyweight. Was she?
I think she was a strawweight. I remember that she was.
Did she fight flyweight in a Rizin fight? That's why I'm thinking that maybe.
I remember that she was scheduled against Wei Li Zhang.
Yes.
And the way he took the offer from the UFC, but I believe it was in strawweight, but I'm not sure 100%.
So we're gonna move on. Musayev, first ever person to KO Takeda. Dan,
can I say?
Sure.
I would like to say one thing about the show overall, because I think it's kind of important thing. The ticket sales. And all the things. In my opinion, it wasn't definitely not sold out, but I think it was something like 70% to 80% of tickets. I don't know about the giveaways. Maybe it's possible that some giveaway took place, but I don't suspect Rizin about being like a one championship to making a massive giveaways. The one thing that it's significant is that they started to make any promotion for this event about 2 weeks before the show, because basically ticket sale didn't exist. Totally, it looked like a potential disaster in terms of ticket sales, but fortunately they were able to pull some more public that looked at the beginning. So it's their little success, but once again, I don't know how many tickets was the subject of a giveaway. So I can't really tell you.
That's okay. That's okay. Unfortunately, we gotta move on. So let's go on to Musayev KOing Takeda. The big news I think is that Takeda says he's going down to featherweight. I don't know. Good luck.
I will tell you this. I saw the photo of Takeda before the weigh-ins, where he is covered by a blanket, and he's reducing his last half of a kilograms, and he looked on this photo that he is struggling so much, and having this in the back of my head, I can't imagine him going to the 66 kilos. Maybe it's a matter of proper diet and stuff like this, but right now I can't imagine him in the featherweight.
Head shave. You'd have to shave his head, do that whole thing.
Yes, this is also a thing that many fighters was doing through the years. But if Takeda will be able to go to the featherweight, I'm really looking forward. But it's also a big question mark how he will look physically in the lower limit.
Here's the other thing as well. I believe historically fighters who have gone down a weight class tend to not do very well.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Dillashaw, when he took on Henry Cejudo, going down at flyweight. I believe Frankie Edgar near the end of his career as well, when he was at bantamweight. Also, he got knocked out by Brian Ortega. Very rarely, if you start at a weight class and then you're doing it at the tail end of your career, and you go down weight class, then are you very ever rarely successful? I mean, now Kanehara went up, and now he's successful, and then other fighters who have gone up, like Dos Anjos. I believe he went to welter. Is he at welterweight still, or did he go back to lightweight?
Oh, I don't remember, to be honest. But But do you remember Mitsuhiro Ishida from Pride days, from early Dream days? He went to the featherweight and he disappeared.
I remember when he fought.
Literally disappeared. Yeah.
Kawajiri had a lot of lots of potential in the featherweight, but he missed his prime days because when he decided to. From what I remember, when he decided to go to the featherweight, he made some appearance in a Dream ring, and then Dream disappeared. And when he went to the UFC, he was a bit past prime. Mm-hmm. So this is he was a bit unlucky about, and that's all about going down.
It's going to be not good. I mean, I'll go on to you, Chris, but first I'm going to ask Daniel, who would you put as his first opponent at featherweights? Takeda.
Definitely not Hagiwara.
Why? That could be an easy win. He could just grapple him for 3 rounds.
But do you want to make?
Yes, I know.
Make Hagiwara pray.
I know. I got what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but that might. He's kind of like Kagemoto is a guy who, okay, we need a grappler to win. Let's put him up against said person. So,
but hey, Kyle won.
Okay, fair enough. If he's still fighting,
good gatekeeper.
Yeah, nah, that would be too easy. That would be too easy. I think you would need to put him up against somebody who's in the middle of the road, who can be a good fight, but can also not be too much of a threat.
But if Saito,
sorry, Daniel. I just want to ask Chris. Do you have a name in mind? Because I think Kyle kind of fits that bill. He's not going to knock him out. He's not going to submit him. That's an easy win, I think, for Takeda. Same with Hagiwara.
Who would you rather see him face, Kyle Aguilar or Yutaka Saito? If he goes down the
Juntaro Ushiko.
Oh, come on. That's too easy because he just got wrecked by Fubar Karamov.
No, but here's the thing. Ushiku would get some way to win. That's the thing. It would go like the split decision. It would go to split decision to Ushiku. I mean, I think Aguilar, if he's still fighting MMA, I don't know if he is. I'm assuming he is. I think that's the best answer. If you want to sacrifice Hagiwara, why the fuck not? Kobe Day says Takeda versus a submission grappler like Takeji Yokoyama.
That would be a hard fight too because Yokoyama's undefeated, right?
No, he's not anymore. Majima
beat him. Yeah.
So he has been submitted before. Takeda has been submitted by I would say by Carlisle, who's not ADCC.
Yeah, you know what? Spike Carlisle would be a hard fight Spike Carlisle would be a good fight for Koji Takeda again, even though, of course, they fought each other before last Easter in 2022.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, I'm gonna go with your answer, Daniel. Aguilar or Hagiwara, because they would be both easy wins, and he would not take a lot of damage from Hagiwara could knock him out. It's always a possibility of Hagiwara.
About Spike Carlisle, he's a lightweight, so it wouldn't be connected with dropping down.
He actually did. He started his career at featherweight, though. He did start his career at featherweight. Oh, yeah. You can actually believe that. Maybe Yachi. Maybe we could get Yachi to go down to featherweight again, and they could have the rematch.
Rematch. So he can take a paycheck and get the fuck out of there?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Daniel, Tofik Musayev. How do you think he looked, and what do you think will be next? What should be next for him?
He looked great. Takeda did almost nothing in this fight. He wasn't able to. His only plan was to
Uh,
just taking
sorry,
down.
Daniel. Just one
Mhm.
quick thing. Kobe Day. I think you pointed out in the Discord that Takeda's mouthpiece was like bigger than usual. Can you? Was that you who said that? Just say that in the chat if you're still there. I'm sorry, Daniel. Go ahead.
I've said what I wanted to say, that Musayev completely dominated the fight, and Takeda was totally, he couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
His only idea for this fight was to take his opponent down, that he wasn't being able to, um, and this is the whole history. This is the whole history, basically. About the future of Musayev, it depends what will happen with Bellator, most probably.
Yeah, I agree. Chris, your thoughts on Musayev?
I think Musayev is just gonna be. I mean, isn't his nickname like the murder from the cautious or something? I think. I mean, this dude is a menace. And if Bellator were to implode, which they are imploding right now, but it's more like a slow implosion. But still, though, if Musayev were to go anywhere else right now, he'd be a monster. But if he were to go back into Rizin, Roberto Satoshi de Sosa better watch over his shoulder, because I don't think he would be able to hold on to that title much longer.
I don't know. I still think Souza would submit him. I still think that's a high
Are you
possibility.
sure, Andrew?
Well, he did the first time, Chris. He did the first time. I don't see why it wouldn't happen the second time. Unless he unless he decides not to go to the ground like he did the first time. So
I mean, because
yeah.
maybe I think when it came down to that fight, Musayev was just overblown by the bright lights, being in the Tokyo Dome, this, that, and the third.
The other issue, don't forget, that was during COVID, so he had he had to be quarantined in that hotel for like 2 weeks or something like that. So
Yeah.
I can maybe, that rematch will happen again, and I think it will happen after whoever. I'm guessing Gustavo will fight Satoshi next. So
I mean, it can happen, but unfortunately, I have some sad news. I've heard through the grapevine that unfortunately, Luis Killer Gustavo is going through a leg injury, a torn ACL.
wow,
He's
shit.
not going to be able to fight for a while. And unfortunately, he's been in Japan for a little while too, and he's going to have to go back in January. So unfortunately, that fight ain't happening. But I would love to see Roberto get some type of activity on New Year's Eve. It probably won't be against Musayev, but hell, let it be
Actually,
against somebody.
one question, Daniel, I want to ask you about this. So, and Takeda was one of the few who had it. Did you notice that a lot of the fighters, when they went to their corners, did not have stools or did not sit in stools? I thought that was very weird because they would just sit in the corner while their corner took care of them. Did you notice that?
No idea, to be honest.
Okay, gotcha. And Kobe Day says, yeah, it was a big black mouth guard. He was either gassed in the first round or broke his jaw, or he lost his mouthpiece and needed to find one in Azure. Yeah, his mouth was like he looked like an alligator. But I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't have nothing much to say about the next fights. Daniel, just give Abazov versus Abdul Khalikov. Just get quick thoughts because I really don't want to talk about this that much.
This fight sucked. Yeah, but to be more serious, it was forgettable. It has some good moments. I said.
When it ended.
But only because of the some Abdul Halikov actions in a stand-up position. For example, he landed some spinning back fist, from what I remember, and I would say as a whole, in general, it was a very significant night for a rising lightweight, because there was some statements during this card. Abdul Halikov is the first one, because his last performances in Rising were really impressive. He looks very solid, very I would say effective and efficient fighter. I know we will say something in the next points of this podcast, but I would like to say something about that Vladislav Rudnev also won his fight, and Kyung Pyo Kim won his fight. So all lightweights, all significant lightweights for Rizin, and maybe it will make lightweight division more, I would say, more vibrant. There will be more happening in the future after this event.
Chris, quickly, your thoughts on this fight, because I really don't want to talk about that much anymore.
And I was pretty much zoning out through that fight.
Okay.
I barely paid attention to it, even though it is cool that Ali Abdulkalikov got the win. I don't see him getting into title contention anytime soon, especially after that 15-minute performance, if you want to call it that.
The big question I have is, so we can do this with this first fighter because this is debut in Rizin. Is Nariman Abazov Rizin worthy? Absolutely not. Chris, Daniel, is he Rizin worthy of getting another shot?
Nariman Abazov Damedes. Do not call Nariman Abazov.
And I was going to suggest if he won that he should take on Kim, because you have Dana White's Contender Series versus Rodesi, but not anymore. Not anymore. That ain't happening.
Don't be surprised. I mean, you can never say never. I mean, yeah, you might think.
I'm saying never this time. I'm saying never this time. I'm saying never ever.
But okay, but
hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, Daniel. Chris, just finish your quick thoughts, and we'll go to Daniel.
Still, though, you might say Nariman Abasov is not Rizin worthy, but anybody who has basically busted their ass for 15 fights in ACB/ACA and is trying to break out into a new league is definitely Rizin worthy. I probably think that if Rizin were smart, they would look after him a little bit, see what fights would suit him. I don't think it would be Kyung Pyo Kim, because of how he destroyed Terrell Ragimov, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But still, though, I think that Abasov deserves another opportunity, especially considering all the Azerbaijani people in the promotion already.
Sorry, Chris, but you have only one time to make a first impression, and you fucked it up. Sorry. And then he acted like you won at the end. Hold on, Chris.
You should say that about Farid Gotipe, who we're going to talk about next.
That's different. That's different. That was a sorry, Daniel. I promise.
But he had his very bad first impression in Rizin. I'm talking about Abbasov, but don't forget how Abdul Khalikov's debut was looking like against Kawajiri. It was a very forgettable fight, but he received his second chance, and he looked very good.
He lost fair and square. He took it like a man. Abazov was acting like, "Oh, I won the fight." You saw his reaction at the end. He's like, "No, I should have won." No, you didn't read the real book. Always read the rule book. That's what they always say.
I will say you this, as we could see in the past, some fighters that looked very bad in their first fights in Rizin could had a next call from the organization and had some second chance, like Abdul Khalikov. And I wouldn't be shocked if we will see Abbasov once again.
I would lose.
It's not a contender series, and maybe and maybe with a more proper matchmaking, Abbasov would be looking a bit better than against.
I'm going to say this. I was vindicated because I said this was going to be a grindy fight, and it turned out exactly like that. I predicted it exactly.
Before we were talking about
yes, and also props off to Abdul Khalikov. He knew the rules. He knew what he had to do to win. So I give him all the props. Yeah, listen, elbow the head. Now you have to knock him out. It's all damage, man. And he read the rules. He and his team read the rules.
Of course, yes.
question from Faisal. He wants to know: should Rizin look at Glory Kickboxers or any foreign kickboxing promotion for potential fighters? Dan, quickly.
It depends where they will be trying to put their product, and I doubt that we will see a rise in Europe anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
But first and foremost, Glory is right now is focused strictly on the European market, and that's all.
Chris, quickly, your thoughts.
Hey, if they already look toward rise kickboxers and made stars out of a few of them, Tenchinaskawa, I think that it would be best if they were to look at some glory kickboxers or some European kickboxers, especially with K1 back on the rise now. Now,
Okay. Sorry, quickly, one more quick question that he has. He wants to know your feelings on one this year in MMA. Thoughts, Daniel? How's one doing in MMA?
Mamedov.
I would say that this year one put very much focus, the majority of their focus into the Muay Thai, and MMA got side got I would say put to the side a bit more, but not like a kickboxing, which, in my opinion, which will be reduced to the minimum next year. But I will be very honest. I didn't pay attention to majority of one's MMA bouts this year, and I won't tell you if it has progressed or regressed.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, nobody gives a damn about that damned one championship. Seriously. I wouldn't care about it if they had like 1 million viewers in this country, which they won't. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the late notice fight. Ferret Gotepke lost to Mehmet Mamedov. Gotepke came in as a late notice replacement for Justin Scoggins. Sugukaku, CJ, the year of the stamp. Fuck off.
I'm
sorry, CJ. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel about one championship anything.
But I can tell you that Charlie is right, because Stump made a big progress in terms of her MMA skills, but probably she will be delegated to fight for a Muay Thai and a kickboxing belts to make her multiple world champion of everything. So this is how one's marketing looks like.
So then I gotta ask, Mamedov taking on Gotepi in this late notice fight. What do you think?
I will say you this. Mamedov had late notice, the late noticed opponent. Göktepe took the fight with a 4 days notice, and still Mamedov wasn't able to finish his opponent. And I have a mixed feelings about this fight. Very one-sided, but without a finish.
Chris, what do you thought? Any thoughts on this fight?
I say this phrase. I've been saying this phrase a lot lately, but late notice doesn't mean anything if you don't come prepared. Yeah, Gotepke came in. Can you hear me?
Yes, Chris, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Andrew, can you hear me?
Yes. Hold on. I'm going to mute you for a second, Chris, so you fix your mic.
Shit. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and continue talking so that y'all can hear me. Late notice means nothing if you don't come prepared. I do think that Gotepke kind of screwed himself over by coming in late. Well, actually coming in. Yeah, I do think Gotepke kind of messed himself up by coming. Okay.
Chris, you need to fix on. I'm gonna have to cut off your signal and come back into the chat.
Okay. Can I say something? Because there is a comment from Code Mady that wrote about other the alternative matchmaking for this card. Ali against Tofik should have been better matchmaking, especially for Takeda's stake. I can agree.
Okay,
Actually.
but listen, if you want to do Ali versus Tofik, I think that's a fair fight. That's a fair
I
fight
think
to make.
I think so.
Chris, are you okay? Oh, okay.
Oh, he's out.
I just want to also say that, yeah, listen, I guess Mamedov, he looked good for taking on a guy who, 4 days notice. I mean, Gotepe kind of really did nothing. Hello, Anna. Always good to see you. Always good to see you. Chris, all good?
Yeah, hopefully
Okay.
y'all can hear me.
Yeah, so just go on quickly. Just tell us your thoughts on Gotepe before we move on.
I mean, it's like I've been trying to say. Late notice means nothing if you don't come prepared. Yeah, Gotepke came in on about 3 or 4 days' notice because, of course, Scoggins is going through some issues right now, injury-wise, mental health-wise, illness-wise. We hope he's doing better, but it doesn't really play an excuse for him coming into this fight not knowing anything. I mean, yeah, he may got movie star good looks, but that don't mean shit when you're basically getting whooped by Mehmet Mamedov. And yeah, this was pretty much a one-sided fight from the damn fight beginning. And I don't think that Gotepke will be rising worthy. He'll just be another guy who just had his rising paycheck and just got the fuck out of there. I think that Mamedov is going to probably get another fight down the line.
I guess that's also
sorry,
Chris. We got to move on, so I'm just gonna quickly say this: if you're friends with Tofik, you're gonna probably get another chance, even if you suck. Because
I mean, come to think of it, you basically said that. I mean, you basically bashed Nariman Abbasov. It's pretty much true that he's gonna get another opportunity.
Yeah. So, Daniel, what do you think? Is Gotepe rising worthy? Do you want to see Scoggins versus Mamedov again, or what do you? Any quick thoughts before we move on?
I would say that Mamedov against Scoggins matching these guys once again is a fair move by Rizin. About Gotepe, you can't demand the miracle if you are calling a guy who has 5 or 4 fights, 4 professional fights against the no names, so it was very predictable.
He did win the Baku tournament, the Baku MMA tournament.
Yeah, but still, though, that don't mean shit considering the fact that he came in on a very short notice.
Well, listen, if let's see how he does on his next fight. I think he's a featherweight normally, right? Isn't he featherweight normally?
Primarily.
Takeda versus Gotepe.
Oh no, that would be too easy. Anyways, let's move on.
Chris, you gotta understand. Rizin does this with fights. They'll make fights that are way too easy. That's part of what Japanese MMA is. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Of course. But yeah, we can't expect that fight to be happening anytime soon because it would just be a mismatch all the way around. And another question, our good friend Anna is asking, Daniel, how's the Azerbaijan audience? Were they excited? Are they silent and neat? Or did they get excited?
Yes, I've talked today about it, but shortly I will say they were very educated. I felt like in Japan because during the most of the fights, especially without the Azeris, where it was a bit silent, that I could hear the seconds from the corners during the Azerbaijani fighters fights. It was some chance that there was really live reaction, a lot of excitement from and passion from the local public. So yeah, I was amused and I would rate very highly this type of public, especially that they are looking like very Japanese in terms of acting, and I would rate it a bit totally higher than a bunch of Irish drunk people who are singing Zombie. during the
Right.
Bellator doubling.
Of course, of course. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next fight. The Red Horse Kyung Pyo Kim flattened Iron Man to Raw Rocky Mob in 21 seconds. How fast do you think this fight could have gone if that wouldn't have happened?
I will tell you this. I was expecting that Kim will beat Ragimov, especially but not that way that he did, because Ragimov lost 4 out of his 5 fights, but on the ground. He all of his opponents that he lost with, they were taking him on the ground, and then they were controlling him, and that's why he lost his majority of his fights before the clash with Kim. It was totally unexpected that Kim will finish him by punches, especially that firstly he dropped him, and then he took some shots on the ground, and it was a fair call from the referee for finishing this fight, due to despite of there were some talk from Ragimov after this finish, but I would say it was a fair finish.
I see. And in
He
the
was
case,
out totally.
I mean, in the case of Kyung Pyo Kim, do you see him as potentially getting a Rizin lightweight title shot? Because we did talk about that earlier, about who Roberto Satoshi de Souza might face. Would you basically say Kyung Pyo Kim is one of the top contenders right now?
I wouldn't be shocked. He shown a lot of potential during his fights. If there would be more movement in the lightweight division right now, I would say that maybe one fight with someone from the top for Kim. But right now, I wouldn't be shocked if he will be a next title contender of Rizin lightweight title. I would wish to give him some fights before this, but I'm not sure about his next fight.
What about him versus
Tofik
or Ali?
It
Or
would be
Gustavo.
nice.
Well, Gustavo's injured. I forgot, but yeah, Tofik or Ali would be two great fights. I think Kim's shown he's a high level fighter, and he should get a nice high level opponent next, in my opinion.
There are lots of nice possibilities right now in the Rizin lightweight division, especially after this event that I said before.
But the big question is, and I'll start with you, Daniel, is Ragimov Rizin worthy?
I will tell you this: Ragimov isn't a lightweight; he is a usual featherweight, and if you will match him up with proper
Takeda?
Oh no, definitely not. Because his kryptonite is a wrestling defense, and he sucks against the fighters with strong wrestling base. He loses his majority of his last fights against grapplers and wrestlers grapplers. So I wouldn't place him against Takeda. Definitely not.
Chris, what would you do with Ragimov next if you think he's Rizin worthy?
Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize on the fact that Nariman Abasov is a former, I guess, current Fight Night's global lightweight champion. So
Chris, unfortunately, we're out of time. I need you to answer the question.
Oh my god. Anyways, Abasov is a two-fight ACB veteran. Ragimov.
No, we're talking about Ragimov. We're not talking about
I know, damn it. Ragimov is a 15-fight ACB and ACA veteran. I do not think he is outright Rizin worthy, but again, it's like you said, anybody that's a friend of Tofik and Vugar, give them another chance. I mean, I won't be surprised if we see Ragimov fight on a future Rizin show in Japan down the line. It just won't be anytime soon, though.
Yep. So I say Takeda. because if because Takeda has more what you call it, more value, and if grappling is his kryptonite, then perfect, perfect right there, perfect
Okay.
first fight.
Now that we're
Um,
done talking about the main card, which Team World did beat up on Team Azerbaijan 3-2, let's go ahead and talk about the undercard fights. First off, with the only rising veteran on this undercard, Anastasia Spetskivska snapped Farida Abdueva's arm 420 round 2. Any thoughts?
Great performance by Ukrainian fighter. But I liked also how Abduyeva was defending all that submission techniques by Svetkivska. But of course, a big advantage of Svetkivska, which is who is definitely more well-rounded than her opponent from Kyrgyzstan. As I said in the preview, Farida Abduyeva is primarily a striker. She had some achievements in Muay Thai, in kickboxing, even in Letway, I believe. So it was a nice lesson for Abduyeva, a lesson of MMA, not kickboxing or even MMA striking, but the complete sport which is MMA. So I think that Svetkivska finally has her first Rizin win, and well-deserved Rizin win and finish first and
I
foremost.
think no one's ever said that she wasn't a good fighter. Here's the thing, even in her, and we talked about it on the show, on the previous show, even in those losses, she looked good. Don't forget, she injured Reina. You could make an argument she won the first round against Izawa in their fight.
Mhm.
And yeah, listen, she definitely listen. Her grappling is very good. Like she is like fucking rubber. Like I have no idea how she does all that shit over her legs and all that stuff. And credit to Abdueva, excuse me, whose arm I don't know how it didn't snap the first time. That looked like that belly, well, not the belly down arm, but the traditional arm bar from yeah. I don't know how her arm did not snap into. But listen, I think that Abdueva, from what she was able to show, looked good. We need atom weights. We need more atom weights and straw weight. I think Abdueva could definitely make atom weights. I believe, right,
I mean,
Daniel?
come to think of it, here's what I think. Since we talked about it earlier, and since this is pretty much breaking news to the rest of the fight world, will we see Anastasia Spetskivska versus Kanako Murata now that she's released from the UFC?
It depends about the weight limit, because this fight was in let's say contract weight, catch weight limit of 51 kilos. Svetkivska is able to do a 49 kilos without a further problem. So that's a good question, actually. But about this fight, it was the fight that I felt in Japan totally, because Farida Abduyeva were defending the finishing techniques multiple times, and there were the moments where public was appreciating the whole action. They were clapping and as I said, appreciating. Charlie says no way for the potential Svetkivska Murata fight.
I think that yeah, that'd be way above Skivka's pay grade. But I listen. Would love to have Abdueva in atom weight. That goes to the question if she is rise worthy. I say absolutely yes. Daniel, to
Yes.
you. Chris, to you. Is
No.
Abdueva rise? What?
I mean, come on. We're going to be talking about a lot of these rising fighters that made their debut on this particular card, and we're only going to have a little bit of time. I'm just going to go ahead and outright say it. No, she is not right. Well, even though she did sign a contract, it doesn't mean she's rising worthy. I think she's going to have a few more fights to do outside of rising before getting back into rising competition.
That is fair. This was her third fight. I think her
Yeah,
third
her
pro
third
fight.
fight as a pro,
Yes.
first fight in
She's,
rising.
That's
she's
not
too
a
long, right?
that's not too unreal. I see what you're saying. That's not too unrealistic. Just to say, hey, get some more fights. fight in Octagon, ACB, or whatever. And then, yeah, I think that's fair. But I definitely would not be opposed if Rizin called her back and said, "Hey, we want to put you against, I don't know, Kana Asakura or something like that." I would not be opposed to it.
I would, if she would have a callback from Rizin in her next fight, I would match her up with some striker, maybe not Rena, but with some striker. Definitely.
Charlie, first of all, Charlie says in answer to says Kiva versus Murata, no, lol, and then he says Farida versus Izawa New Year's Eve. Well,
No,
I guess
no.
I guess if you want to sacrifice her to the gods, I guess I mean I can't deny that. But I hope we can all agree that we all hope to see Setsukizuka back, right?
I mean, yeah, of course. Especially considering this was her first Rizin win, we definitely want to see her back. Now, another fight we want to talk about real quick, in the battle, the first of 4 battles of Rizin debutantes, Ilkham Nazimov defeating the crazy Cameroonian Juarez Dea via unanimous decision. Thoughts?
First and foremost, I would see both of these guys in Rizin in future. Of course, Ilkham Nazimov dominated the fight. He utilized his advantage of reach. Also, great kicking, especially that question mark kicks by Nazimov. But from the other hand, Juarez Dea in the third round, he tried to make things different and tried to win this fight. And I would appreciate this after that 2 rounds, 10 minutes of fight when he got dominated. He tried to get back, and he was doing well in the last 5 minutes. So I think that he shown and he proved that he is also Rizin worthy. Of course, Nazimov is a really exciting fighter. As I said in the preview, he is tall and he has great physical conditions, and it was one of the best fights of the night, I would say.
I would argue that you could say it's almost the best performance, just the way he dominated. Like it was
But
so
about the
technical.
performance, single performance, yes.
Oh yeah. Kobe Day says that Day bounces from bantamweight to featherweight. I didn't even know he made featherweight. I thought he was always featherweight. Excuse me. I thought he was featherweight, not bantamweight.
I mean, come to think of it, he's the UAE Warriors featherweight champion, I think.
Not
African
not
featherweight champion.
African. Yes, the original champion.
Maybe he sounds like bantamweight in Rizin might be the better thing for him. There's a lot of competition. He'd be a big bantamweight, man. He's a tiny featherweight, but a big bantamweight, unfortunately. So he's in that weird in between.
Now, when it comes down to Nazimov, is he Rizin worthy after that win?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
He looks so good. I would have no problem giving Dia a chance again as well. Chris, I don't know if you have any thoughts on either of them.
I do not have any thoughts because I did not see the first 4 fights. To tell you the truth, I was asleep, but still, though. I mean, come on! It was an event that started at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Okay,
which is great because it felt good to not have to get up for or stay up late for a Rizin show on my end. So I was actually really happy with that.
Okay, but yeah, let's go ahead and move on quickly. And they have fought for the vacant UAE Warriors Bantamweight Championship according to Tapology. That's from Code Mayday. But
Apology doesn't inform you about the minor titles in some promotions, like for example, Shuto has its Pacific Rim championships, and this is something like this. UAE has its let's say regional championships.
So
they don't inform about this. Belt is a belt.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move down quickly because we got a time limit to basically follow. Vladislav Rutinev defeated Ilyar Dynamite Askanov via unanimous decision. Any thoughts?
The thoughts is my main thing about this fight is that Askanov. I knew that Askanov is a goddamn grinder. So he will what he will do in this fight? he will be trying to take his opponent down, and it's always hard to deal with this type of opponent. And Rudnev make a deal in a very well. He was leading the fight in stand up. He made some damage by his elbow from the bottom. And I think it was well deserved win, especially in Rizin. We don't have round by round scoring. So definitely Rudnev shown that he is well rounded, and he is definitely Rizin worthy, and he is the next lightweight name to the note of the Shingo, I believe. And I believe that he will get his next chance in Rizin. I hope with more exciting opponent, in at least in terms of style.
So how about Abazov? Rudenev versus Abazov. Is that the type of fight that you want, Daniel? You want to see nice two grinder fighters?
Oh no!
You mean Abbasov against Askhanov?
Rudenev.
No. I would see Rudnev with someone more exciting.
Okay, gotcha. I'm
Because
just kidding.
he deserves for a better opponents. I would say better stylistically.
Chris,
Colt
what is-
Mayday just asked a question. I'm surprised. Just said I'm surprised Rudnev also didn't have it announced that he signed a multi-fight agreement with Rizin. So maybe good old Shingo need to look at that. But the Fallen Star asked a question. I think that'll interest you, Andrew. Is do you want Rizin to look at NCAA wrestling stars to find potential fighters or trainers?
No, because
Why?
that's not.
Why?
Well, it's not about. Well, first of all, we're gonna have to start moving very fast now. But the main reason is that that's not in their repertoire. They don't look at NCAA fighters, so it's a question that it'd be. This were 10. If there's a Rizin 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I would say yes, but that's not what they're looking at in fire now. They're looking at Olympic wrestlers that are Japanese, but they're not looking at NCAA wrestlers. Before we move on,
all
though,
I gotta
gentlemen,
say about that particular fight, Ukraine went 2-0 on the Rizin card. I'm just happy for that because they need some wins in this time of day. And now let's go ahead and put over the last two fights quickly because they're pretty much 20 pounds apart in weight class. Shota Betsumitse dominated Quentin Ruskov Domingos in their rematch via injury TKO at the end of round one. And Hassan Meziev, who I spoke to prior to this card, dominated Konstantin Merkurov in 2:32 of round one. I mean, let's just face it, the other two fighters are dog water. Will we ever see Betsumitse versus Meziev face off against one another in the Rizin ring or elsewhere?
I will shortly about these two first fights. The main issue about this type of fights in light heavyweight and heavyweight that it can it can suck if they will last too much. It got solved in a perfect way because Meziev submitted Merkulov very quickly, and he did the same thing that he was doing in his previous available on YouTube fights. And about the heavyweight scrap, it was typical low-key heavyweight fight when both guys trade some shots. It was some good, let's say, good punch exchanges that were a bit exciting. But at the end of the day, Betlemidze did what he did, what the same thing that he did in their first fight, and he dominated his opponent Domingos on the ground. He landed a lot of elbows and also knees to the head of a grounded opponent. And after the first round, Domingos wasn't able to compete.
Did he get injured? Was this did this end the same? Because I thought he couldn't continue because he was just too exhausted. But according to the results that I saw from like eFight and other places, they said it was injury, which would be funny because that's exactly how this fight. Because they carried him out. I believe, right? They had to put him on a stretcher. So he injured his leg in the first fight, and then he injured his leg again in the second fight. That's how he loses. Also, I think that's kind of it's sad, that to get a leg injury, but that's funny how it kind of both end the same way.
Hmm. I don't know, dude. Y'all watched the fight. I didn't.
I know, but Daniel, I mean, like, what is that kind of? That's a little bit of a that's kind of funny how both fights ended in injury the same
To
way.
be honest, no idea. From my point of view, it was like he won't be able to compete. But I'm not sure about it was like a exhaustion matter of exhaustion, or he got injured.
No, I think it was injury because
hard-
they carried him out on the stretcher. They carried him out on the stretcher, so and they wrapped up his
but-
leg.
But you know what? I've been doing the commentary this year. The commentary of some fight in Poland, and guy just was out uh, by the exhaustion. It was the main event, and he couldn't leave the cage long after the fight got finished, and he got the oxygen and stuff like this. So I'm not sure if it was injury or if he got gassed that massively.
Gotcha.
Probably the injury, but you can't exclude the other things.
So then I'll ask Daniel: were any four of these gentlemen rising worthy? Should any of them get another chance?
Maybe Mezhiev, but I'm not sure about any of these four gentlemen.
Chris?
Come on. I think that Mezzi. I mean, I did see the highlights of the first two fights, and yeah, I was very impressed by Meziev. Not just because I talked to him, but because of the fact that he just simply gave Merkuzov no chance. But I do think that Betelgeuse is also rising worthy too. I mean, especially considering that Rizin needs more heavyweights. Wouldn't y'all agree?
Yep, that's true. That's true. I definitely agree with Chris on that because they definitely need more heavyweights.
Maybe put Betelgeuse against some rising heavyweights like Arato, like Sudario, or Shibisai.
You know what? That fight, Hidetaka Arato versus Shota Betsumitse, is a fight that I would want to see.
I'm gonna guess that Kobe Day doesn't want to see that, which means that I want to see it. So I'm gonna have to say,
yeah, but who gives a flying fuck, right?
that. But Daniel, I want to get quick thoughts. You had any favorite fetishes or favorite fighting nights?
My favorite fights award goes to Dea against Nazimov. The single performance MVP goes to Chihiro, of course, and the worst fight goes to Abbasov against Abdul Halikov, because mainly because of the Abbasov's performance.
Chris, how about you, sir? Oh, sorry.
And favorite finish, I would say Kyung Pyo Kim and Anastasia Svetkivska. Both
Gotcha.
knockout and a submission.
Chris, how about you?
Since I only watched fights 5 through 10 on this card, I'm going to go ahead and say that my favorite fight of the night and favorite finish of the night was the Chihiro Suzuki finish over Bugar Karamov. No disrespect to Tofik over Koji, but Chihiro versus Karamov, that shit was going viral from the second it happened. And I think that if this fight if this continues to garner Chihiro more press, especially as he's going back to Japan as the conquering hero, I mean, look out, world. There's a new featherweight on the rise, and his name is Chihiro Suzuki. And I think that he's going to get all the honor that he's definitely deserving of getting. What about you, Andrew, since you watched the whole fight card?
Easy finish of the night, Suzuki. In a weird way, I'd almost call it fight night because it really did have a nice big fight feel to it. It really did. But if I have to actually pick a fight, I'll be honest, Cheskiva versus Adueva, just because oh man, was she gonna tap? Was her arm gonna break? It was oh boy, I was just that was oh, it was It was one of those fights where I'm just like watching, like, am I gonna see someone's like arm get snapped on live television? Which luckily it didn't happen. It didn't happen, but that was like a very thrilling, weird experience. The last thing we'll talk about before we go, Daniel. Most important thing I gotta ask you once I find it. How is Azerbaijani gymnastics?
Ah,
Oh,
really?
you
Just
know,
quickly before, because we got to head out. So tell us what you thought on Azerbaijani gymnastics.
I will tell you this. I'm not against it. It was interesting feature, but maybe not 2 times during
Oh yeah, you got it two times.
the
I forgot
event.
about that. Yeah.
And it maybe it was like a tribute for the arena because it was a national gymnastics arena.
Yeah.
It took place in this hall, but moreover, because Turkish and Azerbaijani people has a lot of in common. It is like it's they are like from the same family, and I've been last year in Turkey making a commentary for a KOK, and they had the same type of gymnastics display that a year ago in Turkey that we saw last Saturday in Azerbaijan. It's so maybe it's a popular thing in in that part of the world.
Gotcha. Chris,
Mm,
quickly, do you like gymnastics in your rise in MMA?
no, I don't. I
Ah,
thought that
okay.
was pretty. I thought that was, and I don't want to say it like this. I thought it felt like a little bit of cultural appropriation, especially given the music that they played during it. A
But
really slowed down version of a little over dramatic version of Destiny Child's Survivor, but
Okay.
still, though.
I'll
but
say this: it's better than having to see the fucking highlights of Tension being knocked out by Floyd on my TV.
Oh
So
yeah, of
listen,
course, most
I'll
definitely.
take it any day of the week.
Okay,
but
Um,
but one more question I gotta ask Daniel, and we can close the show off that. After going to this event in Azerbaijan, would you want to go see another Rising show again?
I think so. It was different experience and had a different production. We could clearly see that a bit different people made a production, at least inside of the arena. Of course, Daisuke Sato produced the VTRs that got muted in the arena by some random music. But
Mm-hmm.
speaking about the show, the frequency of the show, why not? Actually, about maybe they should make less fillers because that over 1 hour intermission was too long. Maybe less Lloyd Banks and other Azeri rappers.
So
I'm
basically, what you're
so
saying is they should take a cue from ACA. Let's show more fighting, right?
Mm, maybe yes. Actually, I would enjoy.
unfortunately, guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up there. So unfortunately, the
Yeah,
only thing
but
I'll say is nope. Just 1 hour intermission sucks. I like my gymnastics. That's all. Daniel,
Okay.
where can people find you?
you can find me on a Twitter. It's like a first. It's displayed so you can so I don't have to spell it, and also on the Instagram it's Daniel double space D DEE. And also you have to look at my YouTube. It's like my name and surname, Daniel Dziubicki, because soon when I will do the whole production, I will place my vlog from my trip to Azerbaijan. And I will show you how it looked like behind the scenes. Of course, I will put the English subtitles so you will understand all the things that I have got to say in it.
Gotcha, Chris.
Hmm.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at ChrisGary92, and I'm not calling it X because Elon Musk, again, can go suck a fat one. They can follow me on Instagram at ChristianGary1992, and obviously the Focus Fights link you see on the video screen right here, right now. If you want to check out more of that, pause this damn video first of all, and then type up the damn link or just copy and paste, whatever. Still, though, check out more what we got at Focus Fights on the Linktree page you can see on your screen right now. And Andrew, what say you? You're the one closing this thing out.
Follow us at We Are Rising Pod. Follow this YouTube channel if you're not already. Like and all that good stuff. And follow my stuff on MMAsucker.com. But yes, we'll be back again, hopefully sooner rather than later, and talking more Rizin stuff. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. And get the show on Fight if you didn't see it already.